Hi, my name is Nicholas Jara. Today I'm discussing Conjure, Magic, and Power, the influence of Afro-Atlantic religious practices on slave resistance and rebellion. It was published in the Journal of Black Studies in September 2001 and written by Walter Ruckers. Ruckers is a professor of African American Studies at Emory University. He has a PhD in American history, showing special interest in slave culture and resistance, Pan-Africanist ideologies and movements, and racial violence in America. Conjure, Magic, and Power is a fascinating read. It explores the influence of conjurers or doctors in slave communities in early and antebellum America. Rucker's primary argument focuses on placing North American conjurers as vital in the creation of a revolutionary consciousness among fellow enslaved Africans. Pulling from trial records, slave narratives, interviews, autobiographies, and other primary sources, Ruckers constructs a spiritualist culture that had a multifaceted and multidimensional functions in a slave community. At any given point, the conjurer could be a healer of the sick, the interpreter of the unknown, the comforter of the sorrowing, and the supernatural avenger of the wrong. There is very little historiographical reference. All analysis comes from evidence and original research by Ruckers. It reminded me of Keenan and Matthias, the way Ruckers constructed his argument, using a variety of primary sources, creating a grounded sketch of the recorded events, motivations, and agents. For instance, Ruckers makes a comparison between the 1712 New York City Rebellion and the 1760 Jamaican Rebellion. Both revolutions were aided by conjurers, individual ones like Peter the Doctor, or as a community with the Obean conjurers, who provided the insurgents with a powder that when on their body would make them invulnerable, which gave them the confidence to rebel. Nine out of the 21 of the enslaved insurgents from the New York City Rebellion spoke Akan. Akan is linked to the Gold Coast in Africa and to Obeah, a very powerful belief system which was common among slaves in the colonies of the Americas. With this information, Ruckers makes a compelling conclusion. He argues that conjurers in the Americas served as a cultural bridge, and that the North American slave experience fits into context with other diasporic slave societies. To emphasize the role of the conjurer in the slave communities, Ruckers presents narratives from day-to-day experiences between enslaved people and the spiritual world. Importantly, Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. Frederick Douglass was given a root by Sandy Davis that would protect him from a beating by his master. Harriet Tubman was reportedly very connected with the spiritual world. It is recorded that she had visions and dreams detailing the events of the Civil War and the Emancipation Proclamation 3 years before the war started. In relation to the Dr. Hawk's discussion of agency, Afro-Atlantic religious beliefs, conjures, and the communities they helped build among enslaved people was a function of group agency that operated outside of the dominant system. In some instances, conjurers encouraged rebellion, but they also fostered a sense of security and unity. Ruckers provides accounts of slaveholders and other white elites who felt threatened by these non-Christian practices. To conclude, Conjure, Magic, and Power tells an important story about agency in slave communities and slave culture. It would be interesting to continue research and find connections between these Afro-Atlantic religious beliefs and today's African American community and culture. 10 out of 10, recommend, interesting, original, and accessible. Thank you.